from the heartland of the United States, Kansas City, the city of fountains, the city of oceans. Do we have oceans here, Kelly?
Absolutely. What kind of oceans do we have, Ayub?
Oh, oceans of love and generosity, oceans of love and acceptance, oceans of mercy and compassion. This is Ayub SN with Dialogue Institute of Kansas City. We are so excited to have you here today with us. We have guests from all around the world. Our speaker, Australian-born San Antonio resident Fulya Sheker. We have guest host families, whatever you call, from Chicago and Kenya. And our host group is Second Baptist Church, Liberty. And yeah, Kelly, what else? And kids videos from
And
South
yes,
Africa, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, and doctor's video from Canada.
yes. The doctor videos is some, and the kids videos, but there's been a few doctor videos this Ramadan season to tell us about the health benefits of fasting. Some people don't realize just really the health benefits, to fasting. That it's that fasting and Ramadan is body, mind, and spirit. All of for our health and well-being. So I'm excited again, as always, for our virtual iftars and Ramadan this year. And I think you already said it, but this month we have people, the families and guest speakers and everybody from 28 different countries. 28 different countries. I know, right, Fulya? Yes. So we are very excited and we look forward to a wonderful evening together. So let's go ahead and move into sharing some of our oceans of generosity and our oceans of community. I want to tell you a little bit about the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City. First is that we have the Dialogue Institute this year has a project that it's called Giving Ramadan Project. And okay, but it's disappeared off my screen. But anyway, what the Giving Ramadan Project is that for the whole month from April 13th to May 12th, the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City has two very big programs going on. There's the Ramadan virtual food drive for harvesters, and Ayub will put a link in the chat stream on YouTube. And that what a virtual food drive is normally what we're used to is when there is a food drive is we go to the grocery store and we buy food and then we take it to a place and drop it off, and wherever it's being collected, it then is dispersed out to families experiencing food scarcity. But a virtual food drive is you go to this link online because we still want to be safe and we want to, keep everybody healthy. We're not quite out of a pandemic yet. So you can go online, go to the link for harvesters that's in the chat stream, and you can decide how much you'd like to spend and purchase food that way. And then harvesters will make sure it gets to people that are experiencing food scarcity. The other big event is the toy drive for kids in foster care. And that's through the organization Cornerstones. And again, it's the same kind of thing. There's the link. It's an Amazon wish list, really. But if you click the link that's in the YouTube chat stream for Cornerstones and for the toy drive, you can go and see all the things that you could potentially purchase and make a kid smile today. And then there's just a couple more events of the Cooking for Relentless Pursuit, which is cooking and serving food meals to women's shelter. And the Micah Ministry also had been providing food and meals as well. But anyway, that's the Giving Ramadan and the virtual food drive for the month that the Dialogue Institute has taken on. And the co-sponsors are for these virtual iftars and for this event is not just the Dialogue Institute of Kansas City, but the Kansas City Raindrop Foundation and the Dialogue Institute of Oklahoma City. So it's go check out the links that are on YouTube and to support and because part of the practice, well, really all the time, is giving and being generous, but particularly during Ramadan, we are, by fasting, we become mindful of those that may not have the resources that I have available to me. So it's taking care of my neighbor, taking care of my my quote unquote siblings. So check out the links. I want to let you know a little bit more about the Dialogue Institute. It's the Dialogue Institute is founded on the principles of the Gulen movement. Fethullah Gulen is a Turkish Muslim scholar, a thinker, a poet. He's a peacemaker. He can be a controversial person, and I think most of us know or recognize that anyone involved in peacemaking or developing, building communities, there's generally some speed bumps along the way. But the Dialogue Institute has adopted and taking on the values of community, of building bridges, of justice, of mercy, of interfaith dialogue, of science and spirituality, and the Hizmet movement. And Hizmet means service. So being in service, body, mind, and spirit to the world. Some of the things that the Dialogue Institute has historically programs and services that they've offered that we haven't really been able to during the pandemic, but want to still let you know is one of them is the annual Dialogue and Friendship Dinner. And that's a signature event for the Dialogue Institute. It's a fundraiser. And it's where people from all over the Kansas City area, Missouri and Kansas, come together, organizations, and to discover, and celebrate our differences. We don't want everyone thinking exactly alike. It's, the beauty and of our spirituality, of spirit, of the human spirit is very often found in the places where we don't think exactly alike, and where we can, and also celebrate the positive impact that we make on our community. They also offer some wonderful hobbies. Water marbling is the beauty of water marbling is you don't have to be an artist. I hear people go, I'm not creative. Well, you don't have to. With water marbling, the water and the paint does it for you. But it's a wonderful community building activity. There are coffee and baklava events. There's cooking classes. There's dinner with host families. And what those are is Ayub or somebody will send you a text and tell you on this particular day or evening, go to this address at this time, and you're going to be with people you've never met and have a fabulous time. That's how I got involved with the Dialogue Institute, and it's a wonderful way to build bridges. It's very organic, very grassroots, and you'll never forget those hosts. The host families and the host meals. Also Thanksgiving dinners every year, connecting Turkish and American culture. And then of course the Ramadan fast breaking dinners, the Iftars. Last year we the COVID closed everything down shortly before Ramadan, and we said, well, we'll go online. We're not entirely sure what that will look like, but it doesn't stop what's important to us. It doesn't stop our being together and being in community. We just learn to do it differently. So if this is your first virtual Iftar, welcome. And we hope that you absolutely enjoy tonight. There's a lot of things going to happen, a lot of things going on. Kids, Ayub already told you, kids and doctors. And we have a host organization. Each virtual Iftar is hosted by a group. And this year it's Second Baptist Church. Here in the Kansas City area. They're in Liberty, Missouri, which is north of Kansas City. And the senior pastor from Second Baptist Church is Reverend Jason Edwards, and he's going to take a couple minutes and tell us about the community. But he said, I just want to tell you a couple things that are on the website, the church website about him. Is he says that he feels the freedom to simply be a person sharing a journey with God's people who are also our people. That is a refreshing gift, and one that he hopes you'll come to know if, as being part of the Second Baptist Church community. And I thought that was a wonderful sentiment. He came to Second Baptist Church in 2009 from Dallas, Texas, with his wife, Christy, I think her name is. They both served overseas in France and in Thailand. He served as youth and campus minister. He grew up in rural Northeast Texas. So I'm not sure if that's super different from the Kansas City area. But he and his wife, Christy, have 3 children, Jackson, Luke, and Nora. He says he's a big fan of college football. He likes eating good Tex-Mex, which I'm not sure you can actually find that in Missouri since he's from rural Texas. Drinking good coffee, experiencing new places, and enjoying good stories. So welcome.
Well, thank you so much. And my wife would love to be here as well. She's a night chaplain at Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City, so she may be coming in a bit. But it's my privilege to be here and to welcome you on behalf of Second Baptist Church to this virtual Iftar event. We who are a part of Second Baptist are actually celebrating our 178th anniversary as a church this weekend. And some of the things I think you can see running through our history and therefore through our DNA as a congregation are that we are a thoughtful people, a curious people, a people of conviction who love God, and also a people who are open to asking good questions about the things we think we know. We're open to changing our mind, and historically, we've been deeply committed to serving others in all kinds of creative and committed ways. We are both a distinctively Baptist church, and we are also in many ways ecumenical in spirit, and we come here today in that spirit of openness too. So I want to thank IUP and the Dialogue Institute for the invitation. He's always great about inviting us into these special moments. And it is such a wonderful opportunity to take part in this event, to learn more about you and the ways you observe Ramadan and why. Our hope is that in participating, we will learn, we will grow, and we will grow in our understanding, and we will grow in grace. As a church, we've spent a lot of time over this past year talking about what it means to observe Jesus's command to love our neighbors as ourselves. And we know that when Jesus talked about neighbors, he was referring especially to people who are different than we are, even in ways that may make us uncomfortable. So in that way, we know that we grow both in relationship with others and in our own understanding. When we grow in our relationship and in our own understanding of our Muslim sisters and brothers, we're actually becoming better Christians, just as we are always hoping to become better human beings as well. So we thank you for this opportunity to learn, to love, and to grow together.
Thank you. Absolutely. The more what's amazing for people to discover is the more you go to the heart of your own faith tradition, your own, life philosophy, faith, whatever word, religion, you actually expand in your own, depth and commitment to your own faith
That's
tradition.
right.
And you also discover just, you go to the heart of pretty much every religion, once you get down to just truly the heart of it. So, amen. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be here.
Please let your wife know that we missed her and we're sending her, we're letting her know Ramadan Mubarak.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Ayub, I think we have some children's videos coming up. We have some kids from Azerbaijan and South Africa, and
here it is.
Yeah.
Happy Ramadan! Hello, I am Jamal. This is my hadith box. Hadith is Prophet Muhammad's sayings and behaviors. Here's one. Give each other gifts, you will love each other more. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Banu. I want to talk about Ramadan. Ramadan is the most sacred month of the year for Muslims and a special time to be very thankful for what you have. But there are a lot more things to be done in Ramadan than being thankful. During the entire month of Ramadan, Muslims fast every day from dawn to sunset. It is meant to be a time of spiritual discipline, one's relationship with God, extra prayer, increased charity and generosity, and intense study of the Quran. It may sound super serious and boring, but it's really not. It is a time of celebration and joy to be spent with loved ones. At the end of Ramadan, there's a big 3-day celebration where everyone comes together like friends and family for big meals and present exchanging. I love learning how to fast for several hours and a couple of days a week. And I love to add reading Quran to my Ramadan activities. I hope you enjoyed learning about Ramadan. Have a nice day.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Asya. I am 7 years old. Ramadan Barak. I like Ramadan because we go to the mosque and we read the Quran. I hope my mother in the kitchen. I like Iftar time. Ramadan Barak. Bye bye.
Ramadan is a very special and spiritual month for us as a family and all Muslims. During Ramadan, we spend more time together as a family and we pray together. We recite our holy book Quran. We invite our friends over for Iftar, where we make unforgettable memories and we make new friendships. During Ramadan, we try to learn more about our religion and get closer to God by praying more often and thinking about Him more. We try to correct our mistakes and ask God for His mercy upon all humankind.
Oh my gosh, I love that every time, especially the little girl that said, you may think it's boring, because I can remember growing up sometimes going to mass and thinking something was boring, but anyway, I just love that part. You might think it's boring, but it's not. No, there's much to be learned. I want to introduce our keynote speaker tonight, Fulia Shekhar. She's Australian born, as Ayub said at the very beginning, born from Australia, but right now is living, she's joining us from San Antonio. She's a journalist, an educator, a translator, and a voiceover artist. She's currently in the final stages of her PhD candidacy, and her doctoral thesis focuses on representations of democracy within the Turkish press. I bet that's fascinating. I would love to read the dissertation when you're done, seriously. So welcome. So you'll talk for a little bit, and then I'm gonna see if there's questions in the chat stream. And so I'm gonna give you the spotlight, and I'll see you shortly.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for a wonderful program so far. So tonight, coming here, and as Jason said, being invited into this special moment, we're going to touch on the Muslim practice of fasting during the month of Ramadan. I will then walk you through a day in the life of a fasting person, after which we will lastly look at Ramadan and the fast through the magnifying glass of time. So here we go. One of the Muslims' best known acts is the month-long daytime fast during the 9th lunar month on the Islamic calendar, the month of Ramadan. The Ramadan fast is the fourth pillar of Islam, alongside the declaration of faith in God's unity and the prescribed prayer that go before it, and the prescribed purifying alms and the pilgrimage that come after. From before dawn to sunset, those who observe the fast are forbidden from eating, drinking, smoking, and marital relations. In addition, one may not chew or swallow any external substance or take any internal medications. Fasting starts with the first dawn of the new moon. Likewise, the Ramadan fast ends when the new moon is sighted. And the fast starts at the first thread of light at dawn. So this is somewhere between 1.5 and 2 hours before sunrise, depending on the time of year, and is maintained until sunset, the beginning of the night. So who is required to fast? Fasting is obligatory upon every adult, mentally and physically healthy Muslim. There are exceptions, of course, for those who are ill, weak, elderly, traveling a long distance, or otherwise who are physically unable to fast. Children also do not need to fast until they reach the age when they become accountable for their actions. In Islam, this is essentially the age of puberty, adolescence. Menstruating and postnatal women are also exempt. Younger children, however, who insist on fasting and joining the Ramadan atmosphere are sometimes encouraged with half-day fasts. So parents will set aside a time, such as until lunchtime at school or between meals, to allow them to partake in the fasting experience and break fast in their own little way. Some of those instances we just heard. So Ramadan is a sacred time. As the month in which the Quran was first revealed, this month is considered the most sacred phase of time on the Muslim calendar. It is the third of what is known as the blessed 3 months and is observed by Muslims worldwide, and we get some indication just in tonight's program, as a month of fasting, prayer, serious reflection, and community. The name of the word, the name of the month, Ramadan, comes from a root which means summer's heat. This is quite apt given the connotations of fasting, of being parched, dried out from excessive heat, or being very thirsty. So fasting in Ramadan is an exacting spiritual discipline that encourages one's awareness of one's dependence on God on the one hand, and an affinity with their fellow human beings on the other, especially the poor and needy. A person's religious fervor is renewed and their regard for others made keener. This is what I call the crucial twofold relationship of the vertical and the horizontal. So one's relationship with their Lord and Creator on the one hand, and their connection with their fellow human beings and other creatures on the other. The charity of fast breaking, known as Sadaqah al-Fitr, is the alms that is offered at the end of Ramadan by every Muslim who is financially able. So it is paid for oneself and one's dependents, so one's spouse and one's children, both to purify those who fast and to help those in need. Ramadan is a time of serious reflection, to be sure, but by no means is Ramadan a sad or even a somber period. Ramadan is a joyful time, a time of celebration when friends and extended families gather, like so, for food, reflection, and collective worship. Places of worship are visited and spiritual retreats and vigils held. Being the month, as I mentioned earlier, when the Quran first began to be revealed, recitation of the divine word can be heard reverberating throughout Muslim households long into the night. As I mentioned at the start, the Muslim calendar is a lunar calendar. But unlike the Jewish calendar, no month is inserted to align it or match it up with the solar calendar. So because the Muslim solar year is shorter than the Muslim lunar year is shorter than the solar year by 10 to 12 days, it falls back, Ramadan falls back by the same amount every single solar year. So because of this, Ramadan comes 10 to 12 days earlier each year, and so it cycles through the year and seasons. Now, here's a fun fact for you, and many Muslims may not even be aware of this. Ramadan therefore falls in all of the natural seasons every 33 solar years. This variability itself is regarded by Muslims as one of the manifestations of God's mercy. It distributes the benefits as well as the challenges due to season or location that people living in different lands experience in connection with their religious observances. For instance, and for obvious reasons, fasting is easier in winter than in summer with the reduced temperature and number of daylight hours. So I remember when I was back in high school in Australia, we were fasting in sweltering Sydney summer heat. And just as Ramadan started moving towards winter, fate would have it, I moved to the other end of the world where it was moving again into summer, only then about a decade later to move to this part of the world where we are again fasting in hotter temperatures. Now, let me walk you through the life of a fasting person, one day in their life. So you get up at around 5 a.m. for the pre-dawn meal with others in your household who are going to be fasting with you. So this is the time that is between the middle of the night and dawn. The later or nearer to the cutoff time, the better. So your meal could include a bowl of cereal, some fruit, last night's leftovers, a full-blown meal, if you can stomach it, or just a date and a glass of milk, whatever works. You make the proper intention to fast before dawn comes. It need not be spoken out loud because intention is an act of the heart and God is fully aware of everything we think, say, and do. Then you spend some time in remembrance of God, entreaty and reflection until the dawn prayer. Depending on the time of year, you may even get a chance to get in a few hours of sleep before you go about the rest of your day. You spend the daylight hours at work or school, going about your everyday activities as you normally would. So remember I said I was in Sydney in Ramadan growing up? Well, we used to walk to the train station. I have a twin. My twin sister and I walked to the train station, catch the train, walk to school, play soccer, take exams, do everything we normally would do when we were fasting. That said, staff members and workplaces would and indeed still do make allowances for Muslim students or employees who are observing the fasting month. Okay, so now you're back at home and the countdown begins. By this time, you're counting the hours and then the minutes to the breaking of the fast. The joy of sitting together around a table, waiting for that exact moment when you can take that first cherished sip of water. You raise your hands and turn to God in entreaty in these precious last moments when all prayers are accepted by the hearer of voices in all the different languages. And then resounds the call to prayer. The command has been given by the Lord of the universe. Permission has now been granted. You may now eat and drink of his provisions. And so you take that very glass to your lips and take that sip. You can virtually trace the exact position of the water as it trickles down your esophagus. There is no moment quite like this. The rest is history. Now for part 3. In delving into some of its deeper meanings, I would like to focus on Ramadan and fasting from the aspect of time. In the Quranic verse, straight after the prescription of the fast to the believers as a continuation of the practice of previous prophets, it is stated, fasting is for a fixed number of days. There are several special aspects to this verse, but one that I want to point to is its reassuring aspect. As such, it is as though God is saying to the believers right after he enjoins the fast upon them, don't worry, this is just for 1 month. It is a set amount of days, and like all things, it too shall pass, and very quickly at that. Earlier, I mentioned that Ramadan was the most sacred period of time on the Muslim calendar and that it was a month of self-reflection. It is as though we have entered a time of seclusion and not just spiritual, turning towards God in a state of material hunger and thirst. The voluntary period of seclusion that is particular to the month of Ramadan in its last 10 days is called itikaf. It has its own very specific conditions. The Arabic word itikaf literally means to stick to something and to block out everything else. It's very fitting that in the Islamic context, it refers to devoting oneself, especially during the last third of Ramadan, to worship in a mosque. It is fulfilled when a person stays in the place of worship with the sole intention of drawing closer to God. As such, they abandon the unimportant and the petty. They turn their back on worldly affairs and turn wholeheartedly to God and the hereafter. Fasting is to put people not on a physical diet, but more importantly, a mental and a spiritual one. Indeed, we are cautioned in a prophetic tradition that, but for the latter, the former amounts to nothing, but merely subjecting oneself to hunger and thirst. It is about making all one's bodily senses, limbs, and members fast. For instance, making the tongue fast from lying, gossip, and foul language, and busying it with recitation of the Quran, glorification of God, seeking his forgiveness, and invoking his blessings. In other words, as I see it, it is abandoning one thing and replacing it with that which is much better. I said not just spiritual just before in relation to this period of retreat and vigil into which the believers enter during Ramadan, because for us, in many ways, this has been a physical seclusion as well due to the pandemic, especially last Ramadan and to a lesser extent this one. It seems to me that God has put us in some kind of compulsory isolation. The important thing, however, as I see it, is whether and to what extent we are able to make use of this precious opportunity for introspection and self-knowledge. Listening to oneself in such a manner, living a life of seclusion and retreat, and so being in a state of constant spiritual vigilance is crucial in order for us to hear the messages that are coming from beyond our world, reconsidering our place in the world. All of this can be realized by virtue of Ramadan. When you consider things with such depth, it is as though you almost reach a point that is beyond time, outside of time. When you surpass temporal bounds in this way, you feel time very differently in various depths, of course, with God's permission and grace. You feel time in its heavenly dimensions. In reality, Muslims view time as a different way of God's unveiling his divine essence to creation. In Ramadan, we understand time with such depth and recognize its value, acknowledging the things that we gain from it, realizing the worth of even a single moment in these blessed months, and seeing how crucial it is to be involved in invocation, humble devotion, and entreaty. Feeling to our very core that it's every single instant is worth a lifetime, is worth a life in eternity. This is the price for an eternal life, where time itself will be no more, and it is worth an eternal life. Yes, Ramadan comes with all these gifts and more and pours them down upon us. It is when we engage in such introspection that we become deeply aware of ourselves, our servanthood, and with that, turn to God in utmost reverence and devotion to seize not the day, but every single moment. This is what is implied in the famous Muslim spiritual concept of being a child of the present moment, or Ibn al-Waqt, to be fully mindful of the moment, each instant, to seize the moment. In finishing, let me invite you now to think about Ramadan and the fast as a time machine. Let's imagine a mysterious apparatus that transports us into the past or the future, allowing us to feel a deep connection with previous prophets and their communities on the one hand, as well as taking us beyond the temporal confines in which we find ourselves to savor some sense of otherworldliness, of eternal life. In this celestial time machine, the believer can drink from the heavenly fountain when breaking fast each night and awaken for each pre-dawn meal as though they are reaching the resurrection and assuming their eternal form in preparation for a life of eternal happiness. In this way, they share this moment, this instant of life, like we do tonight, together. And in so doing, we turn to the one who is contained neither by space nor time and seek help from, refuge in, and constant togetherness with him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because there were so many pieces to it. It was so rich. we just have a couple minutes before the call to prayer. So I'm wondering if afterwards, because I do have a couple questions from the chat, if after we could come back and ask you then, after the call to prayer.
Sounds like a plan, Kelly. Thank
Okay.
you.
But I will ask one quick one. So
Okay.
you said invocation, you did three things. You said invocation, and then what and what?
Supplication
Okay.
and entreaty.
Entreaty. Okay. So what entreaty, when you say
Of
entreaty?
course, I scattered these terms, self-reflection as well.
Right, right.
Meditation. So invocation, generally what I implied there is invocation of God's names and
Okay.
his blessings, invoking those,
Yep.
remembering those.
Got it. Okay. And then supplication, and then
Him in entreaty, raising our hands, or however we choose to turn to him, and asking from him, talking to him through our hearts, with our tongues. And just,
beautiful.
yeah, sorry.
So, but we're going to come back because I got
Okay,
several
sounds
questions
good.
for you. So, but now we'll go. It's time for the Adhan, the call to prayer, and it's here in the Kansas City and Central Time for the U.S. It's at 8:09 p.m. And so the prayer, I'm going to show a video that's just a couple minutes long, and there are several different imams from around the world that the video has been put together. And at the end of the prayer, that the prayer indicates the fast is over, has ended for the day. And to have your evening meal. Iftar is the evening meal. So I'm going to play that now, and then I will speak just an interfaith peace prayer.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
And so I offer this tonight. I offer a Catholic prayer for peace. God for us, we call you Father. God alongside us, we call you Jesus. God within us, we call you Holy Spirit. You are the eternal mystery that enables, enfolds, and enlivens all things, even us and even me. Every name falls short of your goodness and greatness. We can only see you in what is. We ask for such perfect seeing in the love of God, the peace of Christ, and the power of the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Amen. And so the fast is now broken. If you're in Central Time Zone, we invite you to enjoy your evening meal. And I'm going to ask Fulia to come back on screen because I have a
I'm
couple.
back.
Thank you. I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So one of them is from someone on Facebook, and you kind of touched on it when you were talking about kids in school and public schools and some of that, raising awareness. But her question is, do you have suggestions? And I think looking for some specific suggestions about how the public schools can be more affirming of fasting students' choices, especially when the other students are having lunch or snack time. And I think it would be, it's as, suggestions like me as a non-Muslim, like how can I make the school where my kids are at, even though I'm not a Muslim, be more aware and more affirming?
That's a great question. I just want to start by pointing to something Jason said that I had to note that I really loved. And he talked about growing in understanding and growing in grace. Now, growing in understanding is the crux of my answer to this question. How do we enable this in a school environment? It's so much easier with kids because they don't have that baggage. They don't carry that prejudice that adults tend to carry. So starting from a very young age, educating kids, not just about Muslim practice, but other practices of faith traditions as well, when the time comes. Okay, so, and I know of some schools who are doing this, and I've heard just recently from friends and their children at school, the classroom teacher, the school will educate students about the upcoming month of Ramadan and what that means, and that there will be some students among them who will make the conscious decision to participate and to observe the fast and what that means. And I think automatically when children are aware of this, they will be much more careful in how they conduct themselves. This is not to say they shouldn't eat or drink. Of course they should, but they're just going to do that with a different awareness, perhaps, at that particular time, or sensitivity than they would at other times. And again, the key is understanding and knowledge.
Well, and it speaks to what you were talking about being mindful. Like a small child can learn mindfulness. Like that's what you're asking, is just being mindful of who is and around you and what they think, and it doesn't have to be real deep, but a 5-year-old can certainly, an 8-year-old can understand, or
absolutely.
Or
And oftentimes that thing that we see as superficial that isn't really deep, kids just pick up on it and they run with it, and they just say things that amaze me.
Yeah.
That level of depth and understanding. It's just a matter of giving them that opportunity, I think.
And that's why I love the kids' videos.
Yes, so do I. Absolutely. And thank you so much for organizing those.
So there's another question here.
Sure.
What is one of the most common misconceptions you believe Christians have about Ramadan or about Islam in general?
Okay, two very interesting questions. One common misconception about Ramadan. A lot of Christians, from my own experience, because I went to a school, a government school. I went through the government system in Australia in all my education, and the high school that my sister and I attended was one of the most multicultural high schools in perhaps the country. So I remember our Catholic principal, he was a practicing Catholic, one of the greatest inspirations for me to this age. He brought in a guest to one of our classes, and I remember distinctly because it was a special occasion. And out of 28 of those, out of 30 students who were in the class at the time, 28 of them were from different countries.
Wow. Just
to give you an idea. Now, in this context, my experience was a lot of people are not aware that, okay, not eating and drinking, as not eating is one thing, but not drinking, not even a drop of water. Now, I remember getting that reaction an awful lot growing up. Not even a sip, not even a drop. No, not even a sip, not even a drop. And that I think that was one of the most astounding things, and still probably is, about Ramadan. Some perhaps think that it's without a break, and that we just fast throughout the month and we're not seeing food or drink throughout the month. I don't know if it's that extreme, but when it comes to Islam, there are, and I say that jokingly, but there are some really extreme misconceptions as well when it comes to Islam more broadly. And all one needs to do, and being from a media background, I can appreciate that first and foremost, is just watch the news, to read the news, to see what misconceptions there are, especially as my experience tells me when it concerns Muslim women.
Yes.
And that's why I am a great fervent advocate of Muslim. This is not to say that men's voices are not important. Of course they are. But I think, and I personally am going out of my way to encourage women to get out there, because, you know, people are saying, we want to hear, it's all fair and well hearing these things from Muslim men, but we want to hear it from you. And a lot of those misconceptions concern the status and the role of women.
Yes.
Especially in the West.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I work hard, you know, in my own small way to support that. And actually one of the most common misperceptions that I've discovered that Christians have about Ramadan is that it's this very quiet, contemplative, like, because you're fasting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. It's not.
I think I just encapsulated that. You know, you know, playing soccer, it wasn't an exaggeration. In primary school, when we were fasting, in high school, in Sydney summer heat, we would be playing soccer. And I remember distinctly, we would run to the tap and other kids would have their drink of water and we would just rinse our face, splash water over our hair or our face, and then just get back onto the field and keep playing.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just, and I think that comes from this understanding of fasting, maybe because of Lent being a somber period, time of mourning, perhaps.
Yep.
Maybe the connotations are, you know, coming from there. But
it does. Sometimes fasting is like you say, Lent, where it's this very subdued and giving something up and sacrifice. And while that's an element, it's just gotten in Western. I think in the Western world as something very, anyway, that's one of my favorite things is like, no, it's community and family and celebration.
It's vibrant, to be sure.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And we're going to move on to, we're going to hear from a doctor about the health benefits. So stay with us, and then we'll go to join a couple of families, one in Chicago and one in Kenya. So
thank you very much, Kelly. Wonderful MC tonight.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak, everyone.
So we have a video, Ayub.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Umut. I am a physician graduated from Turkey, and I am studying at Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine in Toronto now. When I look at fasting from both perspective, conventional medicine and complementary medicine, I see a lot of health benefits of fasting. Intermittent fasting is a time-restricted feeding or eating with or without calorie restrictions, which last around 12 to 16 hours per day. Along with clinical purposes, it is used in many religious practices, such as Ramadan fasting for Muslims. Based on scientific articles, it is shown intermittent fasting decreases risk factors of cardiovascular diseases, such as reduction in cholesterol and lipid levels in blood circulation, which inhibits the development of atherosclerotic plaques in vessels. It also helps prevention of hypertension. The reduced amount of food consumptions results in a decreased body weight, which improves glucose metabolism and increases tissue sensitivity to insulin. Thank you for listening.
Now I guess it is time to connect to our families. The first family, Ünlü family from Chicago. Yes. Is Ünlü family available to join us now?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I think you need to open the video for us.
Okay. Yes, I did that. Can you?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, there we go.
Hello again.
Hi
We
there.
do not see Nesrin abla yet, though, because of
I'm here.
Yeah,
Okay.
you need to all squish in.
Yes.
a little bit.
We are a big family, therefore we are not fitting into the screen all at once.
Greetings. How is your Ramadan going?
I mean, mine is fantastic. It's impossible to share the spiritual aspects of it, but I definitely lost some weight. The COVID weight I'm trying to shed off.
It's going, yeah, it's going perfect. And we are really enjoying it. And we feel like Ramadan is a month of connection. And we feel that we are connecting as a family in this busy life, and we are connecting to the community. We are having connection, better connection with God, and we are connecting with our friends. So far, it's really going well.
How about the kids? How old are they?
Do you want to introduce yourself, Etka? We can start from the two youngest family members. Etka,
He's being shy, I think.
Oh, Etka is
little
his name?
bit. Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
we have one Etka here in Kansas City. Oh, look at, he has his.
Oh,
This is our youngest member of the family. This is Lütfü and Etka.
Wow.
How old are you, Etka?
10.
10?
Etka, 10. Uh-huh.
And Riha.
oh,
Oh, there are more daughters.
there's more family.
And how about
Ramadan
you?
Mubarak.
Blessed Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. How is your Ramadan going?
It's going good. How about yours?
It's going good with a lot of virtual iftars we are having here. And yeah. And what grade are you? What school are you going?
I'm in 9th grade. I'm a freshman in high school and I'm 14. And I'm in 11th grade.
So I guess you are able to fast, right?
Yeah.
What do you like about Ramadan? Your own opinion.
I like how we get to connect with family and friends and just have iftar all together. And it's really fun, just all together eating food.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a favorite food?
I really like ravioli.
Me too.
What type of ravioli? Turkish ravioli? Yeah.
Manta?
Manta, you mean?
That's what I love.
All right, it's easier to say manta than ravioli for sure.
Because I
Yeah.
don't know if everyone knows manta, so I just said ravioli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually wondered when you said that, but yeah.
Kelly is familiar with Turkish cuisine, so he knows that word manta.
Yeah. Actually, I was also saying on the previous meeting that when I heard about virtual iftars in the beginning, I was like, I don't know if it's going to give the same feeling or not. We did it for the first time last year during Ramadan, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it's a way of connection at this difficult time. And we want to thank you for giving us an opportunity, for inviting us. And you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I don't know how you handle it, just arranging all the people and reaching out to different countries. And this is a wonderful service, wonderful job. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's actually thanks to people like you and your
Yeah.
family who doesn't say no to us.
We just a small part of it, and you are doing the kind of bigger picture. Thank you.
So I know that you are very active with Niagara Foundation, which is kind of the sister organization for Dialogue Institute here in Kansas City. So would you give a couple of examples on what kind of Ramadan activities you have done in the past and you are doing right now?
I mean, as you may imagine, before it was totally different. We used to have interfaith dialogue iftars. We used to invite our friends from other faith traditions, and we used to go to different synagogues and churches to have iftar together. But since the COVID, it just changed phase. We did our virtual iftars for the first time last year, and we continue to do those virtual iftars. And we have different, just like your kind of Ramadan fundraising, we also have different programs that we are going to provide iftar in this month, in a couple of weeks actually, for immigrant youth, men and women in different facilities, and providing them iftar and preparing gift baskets for them and gift bags for them. And also we volunteer to cook for a homeless community. We prepare dinner for them and also care packages for them. And we believe that Ramadan is the month of giving, and we try to give as much as we can. We of course give in other months too, but in Ramadan it's kind of reaches to the peak.
Right.
Let's say the youth are gonna go to Feed My Starving Children to prepare food packages. And everyone in their own level trying their hard to serve the community in the month of Ramadan.
Right, because everyone can do something.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, it's not even always about anything big, but just being mindful about it and doing something. You put a bunch of little somethings together and you get a big something.
Yeah, that's totally correct.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add before we move on?
I don't know. Thank you again. And I can show if anyone wants. We're a little bit shy family, so it was difficult to even bring everyone to the camera. So
thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. And now we are connecting to Nairobi, Kenya. Hanif, will you be able to join us?
I asked him to start his video.
Yes.
Okay, I had to start my video.
There you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you. It's nice
about 4 a.m. now.
It's 4:30. So this is about the time for suhoor. So
yes, thank you so
when
much.
we spoke last time, I was saying that wondering whether I should go to the room and wake up my wife, and I said no, I better not do that. But now she's right here. So Kelly, if you can just like say a good word and say, look, come out and we want to see you.
Come on.
Yes, please.
There she is. Habari yako.
Good morning.
So Kelly's actually she was living in Kiambu.
Long time ago, but I spent some time in Kiambu and outside of Kiambu. So I just feel at home when we connect with someone that's so close. So I'm glad you got up to join us. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I know it's pre-dawn breakfast, sahur time for you.
Yeah, now it's sahur time. So timing is excellent now.
Yeah. Basically, like what Ramadan means to you, and how do you celebrate Ramadan in Kenya as a family, as an individual, or just as a community?
Yeah, firstly as a family for sure, because and it really hinges on and what my wife does, because she really makes sure that we're all looked after really well, so that's really important, that we're looking after each other. Although I think myself and my son are being looked after much more than I'm doing the looking after. But that is that without that and that aspect and that happening in the house, then things would be very different. So Ramadan with family is amazing, and Ramadan with a partner who's also sharing and feeling that one has to make the most of the month is also quite amazing. So it's important to have that sense of like that sharing with each other. And my son, yesterday he felt that he was sleepwalking and getting on the table and having his suhoor, because he couldn't remember it actually, because we had to get him up because he was so sleepy and tired. And then when he got back, when he woke up, he was asking, "Am I fasting?" And we said, "Yeah, you actually got up and you had cornflakes," and he couldn't remember. So he also plays a lovely part as well. But he still does all his things. He plays his video games, but he watches much less TV. He's doing his online schooling at the moment, so he has like a half day at school with the online schooling, and then he has a teacher that comes at around 4:30. They read some Quran together, and then there's some nice tasks that as within our own business family that we've started with other members of people who we work together with. So their children, and the age range is about 8 to 10, and they have a task list every day, like 12 things they must do. So there's a little intra competition that's going on as well, which is quite good, and making sure that just encouraging everyone to try their best. So even the children, let's say it's of course it's our wives who play an incredible role in this month, and also really much more patient this month as well, because we believe that we say that if you're about to get irated or something, you're checking yourself. You're saying, no, I shouldn't do that because I'm fasting. So I think there's a lot more, there's love and togetherness during this month. And then of course it's a connection to our Creator, and that's just incredible, because that's just something that we've got to refresh ourselves all the time, and it needs refreshment actually, because it goes up and wanes, and that's how it is. Sometimes your tank is really full, and sometimes your tank is it's quite empty, and sometimes it's running on Tesla, on electric motor. So yeah. I'll let my wife say a few things as well now. Okay.
Yes, you want to hear
You can
from
ask.
you. What do you say?
So you can ask her a question. It's not.
Actually,
yeah.
Basically, we are just talking about what Ramadan means for you, especially, and what's your favorite part of Ramadan for you as an individual, or what do you like to do with your family or within the community? If you were doing any maybe interfaith events pre-pandemic or now.
The pre-pandemic, it was different. It was lots of community things during Ramadan, but last 2 Ramadans, it's mostly just Ramadan with family.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to do lots of things at home. Hanif was telling about our son. I have been trying for the last few years to have some activities with him during Ramadan. So we try to have session together where I try to help him to learn more about religion, a little bit about stories, prophet stories, and he has every year to fill his little form where he just checks that whether he has prayed in time, whether he has read Quran, he has learned some hadith. And 2 of us, we try to do extra worship, basically trying to put ourselves back on the track, because after Ramadan, after a few months, I feel like we tend to go back to our previous routine. So with Ramadan or with Rajab and Shaban, we try to do more ibadah and try to prepare ourselves of Ramadan. And Ramadan, we try to do as much as we can.
Thank you so much. I have this, I only had Hanif's name when I asked my friends to do this. This is special for you. And we can also message that to you.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Can we have the Ünlü family back if they are available? Ünlü family from Chicago. By the way, Ünlü means famous, Kelly.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Ünlü in Turkish means famous. And we have this for you as well. We have 2 actually for you. You are a little bit lucky. One for your family.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
And this is for you also.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I guess we can have everyone.
Yeah, we could have Jason and Fulia come back.
We have this for Fulya Şeker as well. If you can see that, Fulya Hanım.
That is beautiful.
This is for you. Jason,
Thank
when I
you.
asked my friends to do this, I thought, unfortunately, Karen was representing the church. So if you don't mind, I would like to present hers, but I can get one ready for you. This is for Karen. I guess
that's
she's
great.
on YouTube watching us.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
But so thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to connect to people from all around US and all around the world. I like what you're doing,
Big
Karen.
hearts, big hearts.
It's another, I got my energy back, I guess. I had my COVID shot 2 days ago, and I was just in bed for 2 days, praying to God that I would feel okay to be on this program, and I feel more energetic. So tomorrow, as you know, we don't like to say bye-bye, so we like to say see you again tomorrow with Trinity United Methodist Church. We're gonna play videos of kids from different countries, calligraphy by Yasin Bekar, keynote speaker Deniz Özbudak from Ohio, done by 6 different imams, families from San Antonio again, Tech family from San Antonio, and Aisha Gül and Serkan Ergül family from South Africa. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Happy Ramadan.
Thank you,
Blessed
everyone.
Ramadan.
Happy Ramadan.
Ramadan Mubarak. Thank